In the next two videos, we're just gonna add the UI of the player health and the attack bar, and then you can work on from there to add whatever you want in your game. Let's start making the HUD. So in this case, for making the HUD, we will start like thinking about how we want our scene. So because it's a multiplayer game, we cannot just create the HUD like here in the scene, because then everyone will share the same HUD. So we need to make a unique HUD for each player. So we will go into the prefabs and go to the player and click player. And under here, we will actually make the HUD. So the way I'm gonna make the HUD is that I'm gonna make a new camera instead. So I call it UI camera. And the reason I do this is because if we want to add some shaking effects to our model or the other camera for the player to see, I don't think that the UI should be a part of that shaking effect, because that wouldn't make sense that the UI is shaking around so you cannot hit it. So we make a UI camera, and we can put it into solid, and we will take this to nothing and only UI and also graphic like this. And then we will look at the def and see what is our def at the camera rig. And this one is currently 1, and this is 0. So this one needs to be one above the other one. So, and when we then add a UI image, let's see, image like this, we should be able to play the game and see an image right here in the middle. So that's the way we're going to create the UI. So let's go back to the player, delete the image, and this is the screen that we see in the game. So let's put in a UI panel, and this will be the HUD area. So this will be the area where we are placing the HUD, and then we need to kind of map it out to say where do we want stuff. So we can make like a empty game object and call this the player health level. So I could put this up here in the corner for now. So it's just like more like samples of how you want it. So don't use too much time on it right now, because you can always move it around. And then we want another one, and we want to call it player spells, or actually player action bar would be a better name. So player action bar, and I think it's normally to like have it down here like this. I don't think you want it that big as you think you want it, so like that. And then we have, over a bit, we could have like a new one, call it chat area. So let's make it a bit bigger and say that will be over here, the chat. And then we will maybe have a second action bar. So let's duplicate that one and say that could be there. That's one way to do it, but I will not have it in my game, so I delete it again. And then we will have the minimap up here. So let's make another empty and call minimap. And I think later in the tutorial we can like add ways that the player can change this. But for now we're just doing like this. Probably gonna do 200 and 200. And then we have like, normally you have like the selection menu down here. Kind of depends how you want it. But let's for now just make one. Selection menu, and it should be quite small like this, and then we put it down there. Let's make it a bit smaller. That. So this is our currently map out how we think we want it, and then we're just gonna build on. We actually will need a duplicate of the player health, like this, and call it enemy health level, like that. And we can move it a bit to the side. So this is our first layout, how we want it. So let's start working on the player health. So go to the asset store, we're gonna search and find like a UI that we think can work. Normally, I recommend just find something that have many options, and then you can later change it. So like brown UI, and put it to free. This one have uh, kind of what you need. You can see here on the image, it's kind of have all the things we're gonna need to make the sample of our game. So let's start with this one, and then we can change it later if we find something better. So click open in Unity or download, depending on where you are, and let's open it. And then you can fetch the package, and down here click download, and then if you go, you can download it, and then you can import it. And then we have the boop, 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 not skill icons, not segments, there, dark brown. And then we're gonna start with the player. So what I'm thinking about is like a circle. I see more people do diamonds. Kind of up to you. We can also do the diamond, but I guess we're gonna do the circle and then health and mana bar. So what we're gonna need is empty game object that will be the player icon circle, and then we're gonna need another empty game object, and that will be health mana. So we kind of want two circles in here, or two objects, and let's try to fit them in. So I think I want the player icon to be like that and put it to uh, 60, and then we're gonna change this player HUD to 60 in the top, so the height also here is 60, like that. And then we are going to add this one, and we could just slide it in like this, and like 110 would be a good choice. So back to this one and say maybe we should make it a little this big. Let's see. So there we go. Like, oh, this one needs to be 60, and we're gonna just 60 and let's move it a bit so fits like that. And let's take this one and resize it to that. Okay, so now we have the player circle and the player health. And inside the player circle, we can do like, we're gonna need a frame. So let's just take the big one. And we're gonna need an image to put it inside. So let's make a UI image and make it fill out this area and put this inside the image like that. And then we're gonna say that will be the circle, and then we will add a background to it. So UI image and go to background big, and we can take this one and we can say fill, and then as you see it's kind of overlapping, so you could take it like in a bit like this. There we go. And then normally you will add like if you rename this to background, you add like a little circle down here with the level, or you actually write the level in here. So kind of depending of how you want it. So I think we will add, let's just add another game object and call it level, and we will put it down here in the corner. Oops. Go. That and make it 15 or 12.5, 12.5, that. And then we're gonna add an image to it and make it like this. I put down Shift and Alt to make this change. So you have Shift because it goes like this, and Alt you can do like that. And in there we will put another circle. So frame, big, like that. And we will make a new UI image on top of that. And we will go to background. And maybe we'll take this circle instead. So let's make it fit that and put it a bit in. Like that. Okay. And inside that we will add the text. So let's say UI TextMesh Pro. Let's make it inside there and put out auto size and set the minimum to like 8, set the text to like 12 and max size to 14, and then we can just squeeze it a bit in like this. That. So now we have the possibility of putting in an image here, and let's just name all of this. This was the level circle. This was the circle background, and close that up. And then we will add like the health and health bar, and just close this. And we're gonna need I think we will actually make I think maybe this is pretty too much, but we will say health mana. I will be too much actually. So let's delete that. We instead gonna do, yeah, maybe gonna call this one health, and then we're gonna scale it down, make it fit like this. Say this will be our health, and see if the height can be like 20. And then we will duplicate it and call this one. Oh, actually, that's too soon to duplicate. Let's delete that again. Let's just make it. So we're gonna need a box frame. So we have like this frame as a possibility. So let's put in a UI image. Let's make it fit. Let's put in the frame. And as you can see now we have the frame. And then we need, we can call it health frame. And then we can add a background. So you image again, this, size it a bit, so go a bit in here, that, here, and that, and that. Great. And let's add our health bar to that. So inside the bar, I think it's inside other. No, it was there, background other. So we have health bar. We can put that in like that. And we will put it to fill, and we will put it to so it can fill like this. Actually, I'm I don't I'm not sure if I think I run a background first actually. So let's push this background. Can do this one, and then we can duplicate it and call it health, and make sure that it's a child, and we will call this one background health. Let's just actually call it background instead. Background. And back to this background other, put in the health, set filled, so we can go up and down like that. So alive, dead. And then we're gonna add some UI text to it. And it doesn't matter what we write here, but just for example, we write 100 out of 100. We will say it should be inside, we'll say auto size, and we'll put it in the middle. And we actually also want to click this one so that the text doesn't go down. And I think that's fine. Okay, so now we have the health. We can duplicate it and move it up. So we have two. And we can call this one for, actually maybe the one the top should be called health. So let's just take the other one and call that one mana. And let's go into the mana and say this is gonna be mana frame. Rename this one to mana. Rename this one to mana text. Close it up. Or actually open up it again and find this one mana. Put in blue one instead. And kind of depending on how you want the game, you can make one smaller than the other. But then we're gonna close both of them. We're gonna say take the mana health and add a layer group. So if you add the horizontal, you have like this. So we don't want that. So we're gonna add a vertical instead, like that. And then we're gonna say the child alignment is lower left. And then we're gonna remove a bit of the spacing. Now uh, we actually swap them around. So let's do like that. So now it's aligned to the left corner. So when we take the HUD here and take the color down, we can see that we have this. So the reason I've a little bit of color on is so we can easier to see, but let's just start there and hit the play button. And now we have this HUD up here. The only problem is like if we do maximizing play, you will see that it kind of is weird standing here instead of up here and didn't quite scale with the screen. So we need to fix that. So let's go back to the prefab, into the player, into the UI, and start on the UI camera and say that the canvas is scale with screen size. And I think we'll put this one into 0.5. And as you can see, it's kind of not inside now. So we will fix that. So the HUD will always be the screen side. So let's just change this stretch. The player thing here will always be in the left corner like that. So we will make these alignments so it knows where to stick. And we can just take them, all of them. Action bar will be lower middle like that. Chat will be left corner like that. And minimap will be right corner like that. And selection menu will be there. And enemy health will be top corner, or actually I think it will be left corner, and then you need to drag it out a bit like this. So let's see what happens now when we first do the. So now we have the player health here in the top corner, and let's try it on maximize as well. And it's still here in top corner, and you can see it gets a little bit bigger because the screen is bigger. So maybe you want to like put it in a bit on the screen so it's not that close. So let's just do that. Let's go into prefabs, player, and into the, see here, and you can just put it in a bit down. So the most important part is these anchors is correct, and Sometimes it can be useful to like try to pull around in these, and also inside the game try some different types of aspects of screen size and see if it fits. Else you have to look into your anchors. So I need to exit the prefab. So now my health is a little bit out, and we can see the health and the mana, and you can just play around with this and create the style you want. And in the next one, we'll do the action bars, and then we'll work on to get all of the UI. And then when we're done with that, we will start to make the action bars and health work with our game.